Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minutes. Great to have you on board. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And quite a morning. We had the jobs number come out. The futures, you can see all through the night last night, were uptrending. When I first got up this morning, having some breakfast, looking at watching CNBC, the futures were up about 7. And then we had the jobs number come out. The initial reaction was quite a bit lower. You can see how it's sold off from up 7 to drop about 4. Since they've come back up, they went up about 5. Now they're up about 3 at the moment. Now fair value is around 1. So the market's set to open slightly higher this morning. Um, we've got, 8 minutes or so till the market open. And so we'll see where this takes us. But initially, uh, and this has happened in the past, you never know how the market's going to react initially. It might have gone up and then rolled over. This case it went down, gone back up, and coming down just slightly. Overall, it's a fairly bullish reaction right now. See how this day plays out. But right now, the reaction was bullish. As far as our positions right now, Boeing's set to open up about 25 cents, right around that way, and then Morgan Stanley. Not really an indication. Looks like it's going to be fairly flat at the open. And then our position in Qualcomm, same thing, not really an indication. There's a wide spread here, and last night's price is right within the spread, 74.11 down to 73.82. So probably a fairly flat open on Qualcomm, if not up a little bit, but not really much of an indication right there as we're talking here. So this morning, oil is up about $1.30, $1.36. Gold spiked a little bit. It's $9 up. Okay, off the numbers, those moved quite quickly. Jobs report, it grew 74,000. Let me show you. Let's go look at this. So here's the unemployment situation report. The actual was 74,000. Consensus 120,000 to 225,000. So it was a pretty big miss, right? And so what are they saying? Tapering is not likely back on the Fed's table for the next policy meetings. Jobs roll in December grew a meager 74, following a revised increase of 241 for November, which was originally up 203,000, and also a revised gain of 200,000 for October. Expectations were about 200,000 increase. So that was a little bit smaller number than expected. Could it be a little bit of and after the last couple, we had the jobless claims number, we had the ADP number, which were pretty good. To come in at 74,000 was a pretty decent miss. And they're relating it's that some reports are coming saying it was the weather, and but it was the smallest report. And bottom line, the smallest report in 3 years as far as the growth in jobs. Could weather have been a factor? I guess I don't put a whole lot into stuff like that, but yeah, it could have been a little bit. It's a kind of a volatile time of year, anyways. After coming off of December and the seasonal hirings and things like that. Okay, so anybody else having video problems? All right, so okay, so I'm just gonna keep going here. It looks like a lot of you are fine. Occasionally stand in and out. We'll have support look into this as we're going here. I just stopped talking there for a while, so hoping I didn't help out with anybody thinking they had some problems there. All right, so some of the earnings, and the company they used to say kicked off earnings was Alcoa. They missed by 2 cents. The revenues were slightly higher. Okay, but let's look at a chart on Alcoa this morning. And you can see after the numbers were out, a drop, and it's just kind of going down. Last night it closed about 1070, and right now we're down here at 996, so it's down just over 70 cents as we're talking here. Not a big move, and that's, it's never been, as far as I was concerned. I was like, why Alcoa? Why are they kicking off? Like, just the first of the Dow components is what it used to be, but not there anymore. So the bigger numbers that we're going to look at, and we talked about it yesterday, and is going to be the big Wells Fargo, JP Morgan on Tuesday. That's, in my book, that's what kicks off earnings season. You get the big financials out there. You get the big financials out there and announcing earnings. That's a little bit more substantial as far as the market's concerned. All right, some of the stocks that we look at as far as upgrades, downgrades. There was quite a bit of action on this front last night. And 3D, right? DDD, they got a price target lifted from 85 to 98. And we've played this stock in the past, right? It was on my top three. I know a lot of you played it. It's got a nice run. And from 85 to 98, well, it's almost at 98 right now. So some of these price targets are kind of funny from time to time in what they do. I mean, there was one a little while ago. I forget the stock. I didn't even write it down because I just thought it was silly. But the company had been on a major run, and all of a sudden, a company comes out and says, "Hey, we're going to raise the price target," and it was already beyond the price target, kind of like we're seeing here. It wasn't 3D. It was always beyond their price target, and they raised an extra few bucks. So, I mean, I think most of us could be analysts that give those type of upgrades and downgrades based on looking at this simple price action. They try to they build a case around it through some fundamentals, but we could do the same thing with just some basic technical analysis. All right, Las Vegas Sands. Let's go look at their chart. They got a downgrade. And let me bring them up over here. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. When you look over here, it's not always the case that that's where they're going to open. It's more over in this range. So you look at, they're sitting at 80.61 last night. They're set to open up right around $80 or so, just below 80. So they're down about 60, 70 cents right now. Now you got to let this play out with Las Vegas Sands. They got a downgrade to a market perform over at FBR Capital, and that was from an outperform. So it's a decent drop from an outperform to a market perform. Price target was actually lifted, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. They raise the price target yet downgrade the company. They're trying to play both sides of the fence, I guess. But you got to let this play out. It's a strong group, and it's a strong group of stocks. It's been a strong stock. Let this play out today and see where it's going to take it. Its initial reaction, a little bit lower here, but we'll see if buyers step in by the end of the day. If I was in here, you see it's opening up right now down about 74 cents. If I come over here, let's look at stock charts. Hey, see how this plays out. Really, it just gapped down to about 80. If 80 can hold, the 7 can hold. it's a non-call. So watch it close. If it closes below 80 today, then if that was our stop, then it's time to get out and move on. Okay, below the 7. Did I say 80? Below the 7. Close below that, then just take it off. Usually when you get upgrades and downgrades, it's normally a short-term reaction to it. Sometimes it can just fuel the fire. If there's a lot of buyers here and all of a sudden the company comes out and gets a downgrade, it can fuel some buying as the stock's cheaper now than where it was, the last couple of days, and they can buy in. But we've got to see how the market reacts to it. So let's let this play out a little bit today if you happen to be in that. I wouldn't just get spooked out right off the bat, and give it some time to see if it's going to work. Also, British Petroleum has been brought up here in the room in the last few days. They got a downgrade to a neutral. All right. Well, let's keep going. Let's run around. I got some other things I want to show you, but first of all, I want to go back out, come out in the market. Let's check our positions. All right, positions. Boeing, it's gapping up 41 cents this morning. Still in the upper band. It's the initial reaction's good. We'll let this play out today. This is going to be the third, fourth day in a row in the upper Bollinger Band like that. And when this one gets in the band, sometimes you can get these, as Jeff was saying, exhaustion runs up like over here, and then over in this range where it just shoots up. And that's what we want. We'll watch this today. If we make any type of decisions on this, it'll probably be a little bit later in the day, most likely, but initially, things are fine there. And then Morgan Stanley, down 10 cents. It did the same thing yesterday, down a little bit. We'll watch this and let it play out. And then also Qualcomm, up 46 cents. That's a nice, it's gapped up slightly and then run higher off of that. It's jumping up in the upper Bollinger Band right now. It's early, but initially a nice reaction. All right, let's just take a look at the market itself. The S&P gapped up about 3. Same thing. Let's let this play out. Yesterday was a good day, and you guys, a lot of you were talking about this in the chat during the day. How the dippers seem to be coming back, and on this day over here, it was this day right here when I was talking about Art Cashin, right, and what he said. He said on this day over here, there wasn't much of a dip, and he was saying that might spook the buy the dippers because if the market's going to take off, they need to get in. And then what happened 2 days ago? Yeah, there was a dip and it was bought back up. What happened yesterday? Yeah, there is a dip. It was bought back up. So maybe the buy the dip crowd's waking up a little bit here as we're going into this new year. And the January effect, I haven't seen, usually you start to see a lot of articles come out on the January effect, and they talk about it on CNBC and maybe Bloomberg, how the January effect, if stocks are up during the month of January, that means they're going to be up for the year. Okay. And from what I've read, it's right. That's right. It's only been wrong like 8 times, but does it really change anything? There's still going to be ups and downs. The market, if you're in it, there's still ups and downs and ups and downs, even if it finishes up for the rest of the year. So it doesn't really affect our trading here at all, and it's nothing. It's kind of interesting, but it's nothing that I look at and say, I better just buy calls from here on out, because that's not what we're doing. So RGR, I'm glad you brought that up, Matt. Thank you. Ruger. I was reading a report this morning, and Smith & Wesson got an upgrade. And it's one of those upgrades where, we could have done the upgrade ourselves. And this was the stock that I was telling you about. It got upgraded. Well, the original price target was 15. Well, it hit it yesterday. So they come out today. Oh wow, it's got a nice run here. We better raise that price target. So they raised it to 18. This is nice bullish action here. They got an upgrade, and it's effect. You can see Ruger. It's a very, very similar chart, almost identical. Nice looking charts. But as far as an entrance on any one of these, yeah, it's breaking out definitely. But right now it's above 80. It's way above the 7. This would be one. I'm going to watch it. 80, it's one of those big numbers, right? We always talk about the multiples of 10. They tend to be the bigger levels of support and resistance. So odds say right now that this thing is likely to consolidate right up here around the $80 mark and let that 7 catch up with it. And if the 7 catches up and it holds 80 and bounces back up higher, there's your entrance. If I can draw this for you. So let's say the 7 keeps coming like that, and then you get a couple days where it just kind of consolidates, maybe comes slightly down. Sorry, those are kind of ugly candles there. And then you get a day like this where it's bouncing up through the 7 or just off the 7 and going higher. Now you got to play it intact here. that would be the entrance you're looking for. It's going to put more odds on your side that this is going to move for you, you know, that direction. Okay, that's what you'd be looking for. And thanks for bringing them up. Yeah. Okay. Qualcomm. Yeah, this is a nice breakout for them. They're at the highs. Yeah, they're at the highs, and yeah, things going well for us there. Let's look at yesterday's top three. You're welcome, Matt. Marathon Petroleum. It's just flat this morning. It's up 4 cents. It's flat this morning. Watch it. Remember the stop. The stop was down there around the 7, and but if it hits that exit, not stay in the trade, let it play out. But initially, no reaction here. Just up 4 cents. Days early. Let's see where this takes us. Okay, and then Akamai. Yeah, up about a full percent right now, jumping up over 48. Excuse me just for a second here. Make an adjustment to. Oh, good, Deb. I just there. I've got to adjust my. Sorry, some technical adjustments on my end. I'm just adjusting my chat window here so I can see the whole thing. There we go. Sounds good, Deb. Yeah. All right. And then MasterCard. So MasterCard down $1.81. Just watch that level. This for MasterCard. I mean, down $1.81 sounds like a lot, but it's down 0.2%. It's nothing for an $800 stock. All right, so just watch the level. What we'd like to see here is for this to reverse and go higher today, hold the 840 mark, and it's likely set to run. Okay, so initially there's nothing here, nothing to react to. Let's go look at Alcoa. Down 7%. That's a pretty stiff drop. So if you happen to be looking at this, looking for a trade, well, you know what I'm going to say, right? Let it calm down for a few days. Let it find a bottom, and you got to see how it's going to react. Even if it finds a bottom, after a move like that, I'm going to be a little bit skeptical that it's going to run up. Yeah, and there could be short-term plays here to the upside, but it's just going to be more of a day trade than anything like that. All right, and then Las Vegas Sands, let's run over there and look at those. Down 54 cents. Okay, it's come up off the $80 mark now. Let this play out. Don't panic. And I've told you stories. I've been in the market over 15 years now, and I've panicked. I've had my share of panics, and a lot of times, I'd say most times when I panicked and exited, I exited right at the point to where the stock was going to reverse and come back my direction. So don't panic. Try not to panic. I have my scuba certification. I got that when I was like 14, and that's what they taught me in that class, was not to panic. Because if you panic underwater, you can die. That's how most scuba divers die. They panic and they actually have air left in their tanks. Yeah, not water. So it's something that I've been around my whole life, and it's actually helped me even in my trading realize not to panic. I've had my share, and it can be easy to do, but the best thing is try not to panic. And a downgrade, it's down just over 0.5%. Let it play out. Play the original plan at this point. If it closes below the 7, get out. But if not, stay in it. All right, and then Delphi Automotive. This was a top 3 from Tuesday. Nice reaction. I mean, yesterday, look at this. It was down, right? All the way down here to the 7, comes back up, didn't turn positive, but this is a bullish candle where it's brought way back up like this towards the close of the day. And this morning, what's it doing? It's continuing that trend. Breakout this morning, it's up about 1%. That still looks strong. This was a very strong group. Remember we looked at that. And then Valero up another 11 cents. So this is opening about right where it closed last night, still in the upper band, trying to push up over 53. This still looks strong. And this is one of those, if you got in this trade, it's still in the upper band, you could ride it with that upper band. Of course, I'm never going to argue if you just got a great profit and you want to get out. You could sell a portion of it and taper out of it. Okay, and then let's take a look at Yahoo. Still consolidating. And yesterday, right? I mean, we're into the market 15 minutes or so. It let this day play out, but it shot up for us. It was at the top three on Tuesday, right? On this candle right here, right? It runs up, pulls back a little bit that day. Yesterday sold off, and there was a lot of talk in there, but look what it did. It came back up to the 41. It's still right there around the 41. Even if it's dropped slightly below 41, 41 is not a huge level for it. Mainly it's retesting 40 if anything. But the 7's catching up with it now. Let the original play out. If the 7's your stop, don't exit until it closes below it. Let your plan play out, all right? See if it jumps up here off 41. There's no big strong pullbacks down to that 7 like that to try to scare you out. So stay in it till it runs. All right, let's check out some other stocks. Chevron gapping down about $1 this morning. That was quite a run yesterday, up about $1.30 off the bottom. A really strong move. But then this morning, dropping again. Let's see where this plays out and see if the buyers are still down here around the 122. That was a pretty strong move into the close last night. And that right there is not necessarily a great position, but yesterday's candle there's a dragonfly doji, but selling off a little bit this morning. And then Tesoro, it's back up at the upper channel. Here's that big channel got going for it. It's kind of a symmetrical triangle. These are typically continuation patterns. You could say, well, it's a flag pattern as well. I don't know if I would. I mean, that's a pretty big move. On the flag patterns, you could take the distance from where it broke out, and I would probably put that at about 50 up to where it went over and started heading back down. You notice the highs are coming down, yet the lows are going higher. Eventually, this is going to squeeze out one direction or another. So if you take the distance of that flagpole there, 50 to 59, that's $9, right? If that looks like a 9 to you. And so I would say a breakout here, it could run up another $9, is what that's saying. It can be accurate, but the market, anything, it can work. It not. It doesn't mean it's going to run straight up $9 up there, $68, $67 level, but a lot of times they work out pretty well. But we still got to watch it. Wait for that breakout. In my opinion, breakout above the highs right through here, about 58.50 or so. You get a breakout up into that range, up into that upper band, you got a nice run coming. If it happens to break back down out of it, which really I think the odds are to the upside, but if it happens to break down out of it, then you could have a pretty good downside coming off of that. It's a nice looking setup waiting to happen. All right. So Boeing, a little bit of reverse, is down 8 cents. Remember, it did the same thing yesterday. Nothing to react to here. Did the same thing the last 2 days. Down, down, and by the end of the day, it went back up over that upper Bollinger Band. Qualcomm, up 31 cents. Morgan Stanley, down 15 cents. Keep an eye on this today, but remember, it's done the same thing the last 2 days as well. So we're going to watch these, let these play out today. Let's look at the market. Yeah, the market's pulled back a little bit, and see the position start to pull back a little bit. It means the market's likely pulling back. So the market's up about a point and a half right now. Again, nothing here It's done the same thing the last 2 days, same with our positions, and we'll just let these play out. Okay. Okay, Facebook here, up 9 cents. The seven's catching up with it. What I'd like to see happen here is a push up off that seven and over the 58, probably the 57, 50 level that it's been hitting the last few days, just higher than that. But a strong move here would be a push up off that level and over yesterday's high. That would be a very strong move. Another stock that we've was in a top three of mine, must have been last Friday or something like that. It still had a nice day yesterday, and it's gapped up a little bit here this morning. All right, and then let's take a look at Apple. So Apple down. It was down here yesterday too, that same level. We look at this a little bit closer. It's been holding this level of support right through here, the 540 mark. It's been holding the level right here. Let's see what it does today. A break of this level into that lower Bollinger Band would be a trend rider bear signal. Could take it down towards 530. Really, the bigger level here, as I stated yesterday, is probably 520. You can see all through there how it was all over 520. Couldn't get off of it, couldn't get up through it, and actually hold it. That's a bigger level here. So let's see what happens here today on Apple and see if it does break in that lower Bollinger Band, which would be pretty bearish for Apple. If I bring in the trend rider, yeah, the bands are expanding. The RSI is already below 50. We'll see what it does today at the end of the day. But right now, it's down 65 cents. Apple can move a few bucks within 5 minutes. So there's just nothing here to react to at all. Okay, PW. Google. Google had that nice breakout. Now we're coming back, getting some consolidation back here towards the 7. So it's becoming closer to another setup here for us. And let's say that the 7 continues to head this direction, and then you get a candle here early next week sometime that jumps up off the 7, or maybe it gets below the 7, and you get a candle here that pushes up like that, and this thing's probably going to 1160. It'll be a nice looking bullish setup. If it drops back down below the 7 and starts dropping towards the 1120 mark again, then the bullish nature is off for the short term. But this has been a very nice uptrend. We saw the same type of action over here, right? Gets a long ways away from the 7, consolidates back to it, and this was a runner up over here. I didn't put it there because it didn't confirm over the 1120 mark, but then you got that gap and it ran. So it's doing the same type of price action here, coming back towards the 7, probably for another run higher. MasterCard down 4. Okay, that's about 0.5% for MasterCard. Got to let it play out. The stop's on the 7. Get out. If it stays above the 7, stay in it and look and see if it runs higher and pushes up off this 840 mark. We're just maybe 20 minutes into the day. Let's see if this can reverse and run higher. Let's give it some time to work for us. Johnson & Johnson, you want to check these guys out. They got a downgrade to an equal weight at Barclays. Not much of a reaction to it. If anything, if I didn't know they got a downgrade, it's just typical price action at this stage. Down 0.25%. A big strong push up over the 7 like that. They got an upgrade over here. Big strong push up over the 7. And right now what it would be doing, it would just be consolidating back towards it. You could also say it might come back and retest 94. That's not that big of a level for it, but just mainly a little pullback right off the bat. So not too much of an effect on Johnson & Johnson yet. All right, Baidu. And I know some of you guys have been trading Baidu. Nice stock to trade. Baidu got upgraded to a buy by a company called Maxim Group. They're trading up just over 1% right now. Yeah, a strong signal here would be a push up. It gapped up over the 7 today. A strong move here would be a run up over the 180 mark towards yesterday's open. If it could get even the upper Bollinger Band, that'd be great. That'd be a pretty big move for it. But initially, a little bit of a good news like that. Let's see if it drives them up over that 180 mark. That'd be a very a nice positive for Baidu. Bristol Myers got upgraded to an overweight by Barclays. Barclays was pretty active on that front yesterday and today. I've seen quite a few of what they've been doing out there. And they're quite a reaction to it, up over 1%. Nice gap off of a strong run yesterday. And let's see how that plays out. Again, typically upgrades and downgrades, it has nothing to do with fundamentals. It's just someone saying, hey, I like this stock. I think it's going to go higher. And that's a pretty well-respected group that would do that to get this type of reaction, right? Okay, Microsoft. Barclays again was upgraded Microsoft here to an overweight, and see the reaction there. A gap higher, it's up about 1%. But again, I would watch this. This is what I watch for on Microsoft. Oops, hey, come here. Microsoft, they broke through right here, and we looked at these as a possible. Someone brought this up yesterday, the day before. And what you want to do here, there's been the level of support for it. It broke that level. Most times when stocks break the level and they get a long ways away from the 7, what are they going to do? They're going to come back and retest that level. On an uptrend, they're going to come back and retest the prior level of resistance. When they're breaking down, they'll come back, retest the prior level of support. And that's what it's doing at this point. If it catches up here to the 7 early next week, and also this about 36.30 mark, whatever that is, 36.20, whatever. If it gets up towards the 7 and all of a sudden you see it bounce back down off the 7, a pretty strong candle, and off this past level of support, well, what it just did is locked in a new level of resistance, and it's likely headed back down from there. That's what I'd look for on Microsoft right now. Okay. A little bit of an upgrade, but so far it's not. Technically, it's just I don't see anything going on technically with any type of that upgrade. Macy's, they were upgraded to a buy at Goldman Sachs. And I want to look at Target. Target had more news out this morning. They announced that more information was stolen during that hack last year than what they originally thought. Names, addresses, email addresses, names, physical addresses, email addresses, and who knows what else. Wall Street has pretty much been defending them. This morning they're defended by Goldman Sachs. They got upgraded to a buy, even on the heels of the news that just came out of more information stolen than what they previously thought. So Wall Street's been defending these guys. And I don't know if Goldman's has a nice position in Target. Wouldn't surprise me, but they're being defended. And you look at this technically. Is there any type of unusual price action here? No, there's really not. I mean, I can look at this and say, well, look, there's a head and shoulders pattern on it. Is that unusual? No. So for this head and shoulders pattern to play out, well, it's got to break above that level right here. I'd probably give it 64. A break of 64, well, you got a reversal pattern that's confirmed. If it breaks back down below the lows right through here, then it's off for a while. It's not saying the floor is gonna drop out from below it, but it's not ready to break higher yet. And sometimes you can get these head and shoulders patterns that might have 2 or 3 shoulders on one side or the other. But overall, head and shoulders pattern, a break here up above the level, the line I got drawn in right there would confirm a head and shoulders, and it's likely to run higher, but it might be a little bit volatile, so we'll see. Yeah, it could. It could, Jasper. It hasn't. The thing about it, when all the news out around it, and it hasn't dropped on all that news where it could have dropped. It's being defended by Wall Street. Wall Street's not selling that news. If they decide to, you bet it's going to fall out. But originally, right now, it's holding up pretty well for everything that's going against it. So we'll have to see on that what it's going to do. All right, let's look at some of the stocks out there in chat. Let's get Halliburton. Halliburton, it dropped. It's dropped. It's got a little bit of a downtrend going, right? We got a lower low, lower high. Let's see if this. I mean, this level right through here, 49.50 or so, has been holding the last few days. To me, right now, yeah, we could say, well, we got a higher high going right over here, a higher low. Sorry. Well, it's got to hold. To me, it's got to come up through that seven. Got to get over the $50 area, and then hold that, and let this consolidate around 50 for a little while. Then try to play a break higher. But right here, if I'm bullish on this, and I was down a little bit because it went on me. I'm not sure where you're at here, but I would want this to come back over that seven to stay bullish on it, and that would help make me feel a little bit better if I was in. If I'm looking to enter here, it's not there. There's going to be better setups out there. You can see the Bollinger Bands are actually still contracting a little bit, so this is eventually going to set up for a nice run one way or the other. Verizon, yeah, this has been a volatile group with everything going on. AT&T, Sprint, there's a war going on there. It's one thing after another. Big ugly day yesterday. Today it's gapping higher. I didn't see much news on them. I didn't really dig into it, but everything I read through, I didn't see anything there. But it's coming back a little bit off of a big down day yesterday. But this is one where right now, after that huge run like that, the technicals are going to be blown for a little bit. The day-to-day action is going to be a little bit hard to predict in here. But yeah, I mean, if I was bullish here, you'd be down. I'd be down. It would just be more hope that it's going to come back for me rather than anything I can see in the chart right here. It just it's just a tough one to read. STZ, Constellation Brands. All right, well, big gap up like this on an earnings announcement. This one's one where you'd want to see it consolidate, see where this thing's going to come, right? See where this is going to drop and find a bottom. It's pretty oversold right now, but this would be one to find some type of a bottom and then run higher to play it higher. As far as playing it lower, yeah, again, it's due for some profit taken up in this range and drop and find some type of a bottom. It's run up off of a good earnings announcement. Just going to scroll up here. Mankind. Well, some pretty fierce profit taken down 13%. That's 98 cents. Huge run yesterday in reversal to come back down. Let it play out. It's pretty volatile. I don't know if there was news on this overnight, but a big push yesterday. I don't know if there was news taking any of that, but yeah, it's just huge, just some fierce. And this can happen in low dollar stocks like that. You get those giant moves, and then everybody decides they want to get out and take the gains, and they gap. And I don't know if there's news or if that's the case where people are just frantically taking profits today. But man, what a volatile ride on Mankind. Yeah, in Wall Street, I've seen some over the years. I a lot of funny things happen with upgrades, downgrades, and behind the scenes there at Wall Street. You never know. I mean, they're cracking down on a lot of the stuff that the games that they used to play. Upgrade right after they enter a big long position. They'll upgrade a stock, but they're cutting down on it, but I'm sure there's still a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on. Slavic, yeah, and I've heard that said. Apple Fridays on Apple always drop, or is that rainy days on Mondays always get me down? I don't know. Maybe it's Apple. They always drop. Sorry, little humor, attempted humor, but we'll see where it plays out. If it drops in that lower band, that's a pretty bearish sign for it. 520 could be in the works there, but right now it's a bit early. Yeah, Akamai. Akamai here, it gapped up. Again, we talked about the 100. It's not always that big of a level. I don't think that the market was looking at a 100-day moving average here. I think it was more 48. But yeah, a nice push up here over that 48. Had some decent volumes the last couple days. 2 days ago, you could say, well, that was selling volume, Carl. But no, look what it did. It didn't break anything big. It basically held the 7-day moving average. It tells me there's a lot of people buying it and keeping it that level, even though it was down a little bit that day, a few more sellers. To run up like that, very strong bullish move. So yeah, it'd be a positive to see it get up over through 48 right here today, and we'll see that happens. But yeah, initially, yeah, it looks nice. You're welcome. Um, Radio Shack, and if I've missed any stocks, please put them back in. Sorry if I missed anything. Yeah, Yeah, PW, interesting. Radio Shack, Sears Holdings. I'd put J.C. Penney in the list. BlackBerry. But they're not down this far. And actually, J.C. Penney, I don't think they did all that bad this last holiday season. We could go look at their chart. But at this point, where they're down in the $2 range, they're getting close to probably not having options on them. Usually, they'll take those at $1 if they have options on them. I would just look at this technically, and it's a ways from the 7 right in here. It's been quite a ways from the 7 since Tuesday of this week. And it could be one where it would be a low contract type of a trade and just invest very few contracts to lighten the risk, and you could just go buy puts and hope it keeps going down. But technically, right here, right now, there's not an entrance. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Are they going to be around? No, ugly. Didn't see it. They might have announced earnings. Sorry if I missed that, but down 13%. Yeah, that's not a pretty strong. This thing's gone from 65 down to basically 37 in a month. Ouch. That hurts. That's yeah, ugly chart. Yeah, that's typically the case. That's what they're playing right now on BlackBerry for bankruptcies. The thing that's holding BlackBerry stock up is the assets are in the billions. So that's what's holding them up. Let's go look at BlackBerry or Research in Motion back in the day, right? RIM. Yeah, they've just been off of a bottom here, but they're saying the assets is what's keeping the stock price up. They've got billions in assets that if they do go under, they've got a lot of money there. Yeah, STZ, we talked about this just a little while ago. Maybe I'm behind on chats. Hang on. Yeah, I had a good earnings announcement right here, and it's jumped up. It's overbought in this area. You'd want to wait for a pullback here is what you'd be looking for on on STC. It's a mile away from the 7. It's bound for a pullback, so profit taking coming in there. All right. Tesla. Tesla Motors. You know, what a story. I mean, you got this company, you got Solar City, both Elon Musk companies, right? Well, yesterday, looking at this, yesterday it dropped below the 7. It doesn't mean a little bit of a run here is over. It's showing signs that it's weakening. I'll say that. If we look at the rate of change, it started to drop. Well, the MACD is rolling over a little bit here. Was there a little bit of divergence? Yeah, a little bit of divergence here. A break below 0 here would be pretty bearish. Break below 0 on the MACD would also be very bearish, and that takes a while to get down to that range if it gets there. But right now, what I'd look for here on Tesoro, on Tesla, see if it gets down below the 50-day average. Kind of hit it up through this range, played around it during that area right here. So it might be a bit of an average, some support there for it. But right now, pushing back, it dropped below the 7 today, opened back up to the 7, pushing back below it. Also pushing down off the 150 mark, which is a pretty bearish sign in itself. So it's a bearish looking stock as far as any type of an entrance here. Bringing the Bollinger Bands. It's setting up for one. See the Bollinger Bands here contracting? Where they're contracting like that, it's saying that it might not go a whole lot further down. Okay, that band's catching up with it. On contracting bands, they tend to be support or resistance. Expanding bands, the price can move with the bands, but on contracting, it tends to be a support level. Or if it's going up, then it tends to be a resistance level. So I'd watch that. I don't think there's going to a whole lot of room for downside by looking at the bands here. And when they get really tight like that, to me, it just whets my appetite, waiting to see which way it's going to break. If it's going to break in the lower band or the upper band, you can get some pretty nice moves when stocks do that. BA, yeah, 80 cents down. Boeing, 80 cents down. Remember yesterday, down 90 to a dollar. Came back. Early price action. Yeah, nothing here really to react to. Morgan Stanley breaking the 7. So if it broke down through here, we'll probably likely exit today. Let's let this day play out and see if it can pop back up there for us. Let me look at the market. Well, let's look at Qualcomm, and then we'll go to the market. Up 10 cents. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at the market here. Down 350. All right. Well, same thing, same type of action yesterday. We'll see how the day plays out. What we're 40 minutes into the day. See the buy the dippers come in there. What time do they usually come in? It seems like you guys had the time down. And when they come in, you're right on time. Outside the Bollinger Bands. When they gap outside the Bollinger Bands, what's that saying is the stock's a little bit overbought. Doesn't mean it's going to reverse. It's still pretty bullish, but it can be a little bit in an overbought position. It might consolidate for a little bit and get back into those bands. They don't usually trade out of the bands very long on most stocks out there. Good question, JC. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about who's going to buy BlackBerry, and there was a lot of different companies looking at them. No buyers yet, as far as much as I've heard. Okay, everybody. I'll be on chat with you all day long. Josh will be here as well. Jeff will be maybe in and out a little bit later on today. But thanks for tuning in this morning, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.